What is going on? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I am so excited that you're joining here on the Abundance Factor. So excited about you being a part of what's happening, what's about to happen. Your life is about to change forever because you joined the Abundance Factor. It's about to be real good today. So I appreciate you joining. Thank you for joining. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go ahead when you log in, when you tune in, even if you're watching the replay, make sure you type in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching today, let me know where you're watching from. Say hello, say something, because we are at the Abundance Factor here. I'm Torrey Montgomery. My whole mission is to help you shift from your now to your next, help you experience the abundance. John 10:10 says, Jesus said, I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. So my desire is that you experience the abundance of life. So go ahead and like this up, share it, put it on your social media, tag somebody, let somebody know that the Abundance Factor is live and we're about to get it on. All right. Welcome to the show. All right. Let's get it on. It is time. You are here. The Abundance Factor. Hey, Elder Linda, I see you there live. When you get in, make sure you let me know. Say hello, say something. Even let me know what state, what country, I don't know, wherever you're from. Let me know because I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to have you here on the Abundance Factor as we get down and get into some really good stuff today. That, again, I believe that your life, I believe that every show, every episode, every time that we are here on the Abundance Factor, I believe something shifts in us. And that's why I'm committed to making sure I can pour into you and watch your life excel. I love hearing the testimonies, hearing the stories, hearing about how your life is being impacted. Many of you have emailed me or messaged me and let me know what's really happening and how your life is shifting. And I'm so excited about that. And so today I want to get into this topic. I started this topic at my church Sunday called quantum language. So I've been in a series called Quantum Leap, and the series has kind of led into quantum belief and then quantum language. And it's been so radically life-changing just to deal with this idea of quantum leap, which is an abrupt change. It is when something shifts abruptly, when something changes. It is from going from one state to the next state, like with warp speed, with quickness, like at the snap of a finger. That's the quantum leap. It is a sudden progress or a sudden movement, a movement forward. And so we've been dealing with that quantum leap. So I'm going to just kind of lean into this. We dealt with quantum belief and then quantum language, because that there was something about that really stuck with me, that I said, you know what, I want to talk about this on the Abundance Factor, quantum language. So let's go to work. Now, many people would say, what is quantum language? First of all, let's break down and build out the construct of language. Language is a set or a construct of words that make up or come to a conclusion. Like if you look up the word language in Hebrew, I'll deal with it a little bit more in a minute. In Hebrew, it is a construct of words that come or bring you into a conclusion. So quantum language then is a construct of words that abruptly or quickly, it's a part of a bigger whole. So it's a part of your words, your thinking that you are using, your believing, what's in your heart that brings you into a bigger whole or to a bigger conclusion. And here's what I know, that when you watch Abundance Factor, the reality of it is that you believe that there is something greater for you. You believe there's something more. You believe there's something bigger. You believe there's something that God wants for you, that God desires for you, that God has for you. And what I'm learning is that the languaging that we use. Language is also a construct of how a thing is defined. The language always defines a thing. So, how you are defining your life is based on the languaging that you're using. So, when I say languaging, that is even the pattern of thoughts and mindset that you possess. So, Sunday, I talked about the fact that it's not just about head language, but it's about heart language. There is a difference between head language and heart language. You can say something from the head, but not mean it in the heart. You can say something from the head, but it nothing happens, nothing is changed in the heart. So what we deal with then is the heart first, so that what we say out of our mouth will match what's in our heart and not just what's in our head. And that's what's valuable. So language is then the quantum language. Now I'm going to give you a working definition. Quantum language is to speak in the now, speak from the now, okay? Quantum language is to speak from the now into the future, okay? So quantum language, let me give you that definition again, is to speak in the now into the future. So you can either speak about what is happening in the present, okay? Or you can speak about what you see in the future. So that's quantum language. I'm speaking in the now, what I see in the future. Or I can break it down like this. Quantum language is shifting from present conversation, or shifting from conversation about your present reality into conversation about your prophetic reality. Okay. In other words, now I've stepped outside of what I see presently and I'm moving into what I see prophetically. It is a prophetic language. Quantum language is a prophetic language. Now, let me talk about that, because sometimes when you hear the word prophetic, and especially maybe if you haven't been around church and around the charismatic movement and the prophetic movement, apostolic movement, all that kind of stuff, if you haven't been around that, when you hear the word prophetic, either you don't understand it, or you automatically associate it with some type of prophet, or some prophet that you've seen on TV, or some type of prophetic service you've been, whatever. But prophetic is more than just a person that has the title. Prophetic is a language. You can speak a prophetic language, and that language has the ability to create in you, right? Says that language has the ability to create in you an expectation of something that you believe is greater than where you are now. Let me say that again. That prophetic language has the ability to produce in you an expectation of something you believe in, or something greater that you believe for. So it produces in you an expectation. That's what the prophetic language does, or that's what quantum language does. Quantum language activates expectation. Now write that down. If you're taking notes, I'm telling you, this might be a note-taking day for you today, because this right here is going to be good. So quantum language, it activates in you an expectation. So that's why quantum language is so important. Your lazy language, I talked about lazy language. Lazy language does not create an expectation. Lazy language has the ability to create an anxiety in you. Like if you speak in lazy language, it creates anxiety or even anxiousness. The Bible talks about being anxious for nothing. So lazy language creates anxiousness, or it creates worry. Lazy language creates doubt. Lazy language creates fear. Lazy language creates all these things. So we're shifting from a lazy language to a quantum language. Quantum language, let me say it again, produces an expectation on the inside of you. So this is why you have to change and shift your language. You have to shift how you communicate. Now, I want you to catch this, not just how you communicate to people, but how you communicate to you. Did y'all hear what I just said? I want y'all to hear that. Let me say that again, because sometimes when we think about communication, we only think about communicating to people. But the reality of it is you communicate to yourself more than you communicate to anyone else. Like you communicate to yourself all day long. You're constantly in a constant conversation with yourself all day long. So how you communicate with yourself, hear me, this is important. How you communicate with yourself is actually more important than how you communicate with anyone else. So how you communicate with you is more important than how you communicate with your spouse, how you communicate with your kids, how you communicate with your coworkers, whoever, your business partners. How you communicate with you is more important, because eventually how you communicate with you is going to determine what you produce. Did y'all hear me? Let me say that again. Eventually, how you communicate with you will determine what you produce. It is not how you it's not ultimately, it's not how you communicate with everybody else. It is how you communicate with you that's going to be the problem. That's going to be the challenge. So here's what I'm learning, that for most of us, we have to learn a different languaging or language pattern with ourselves so that we can produce a different result. Because we say we want the result that we want, but the conversation that we're having with ourselves does not match. Are you with me out there? If you're out there, I need you to type in the comments, I'm with you. Type in the comments, hey, Pastor Pat, what's going on? Type in the comments, I'm with you. So the question then is, what is your internal language or your internal conversation, right? Because it's interesting to me that we will tell, we want to allow certain people or certain things. We want to allow people to say certain things to us. Like it's certain things, there's certain limits that you can talk to me all kind of ways, but there's certain things that you can't say to me. Because if you say certain things to me, that's when I snap right there. That's when I go in right there. And that's when I shut you down, because you done went too far. But the problem is we allow ourselves, hear me, we allow ourselves to communicate with ourselves and we say anything to us. Like we disrespect ourselves more than anybody. Oh, y'all, come on now. Y'all talk to me in here. We disrespect ourselves more than anybody. Yeah, like we tell ourselves that we can't make it more than anybody does. Like we always talk about the critics and the haters and all this stuff. The reality of it is that you probably, us, you probably are your biggest critic. Like you are your biggest conversation, a naysayer. Let me say, you are your biggest hater sometimes. Like there has been moments in my life when I have spoke, done a talk or preached a sermon or whatever, and when I got done, I criticized myself more than anybody online could have criticized me. I criticized myself more than anybody in a newspaper or whatever, a blog could have criticized me. I talked worse to myself. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you mispronounced that. I can't believe you did that and all this stuff. And by the time I get done talking to myself, I want to give up. Come on, somebody. By the time I get done talking to me, I'm ready to give up. Are y'all with me? By the time I get done criticizing myself, I'm ready to give up, because I'm my biggest critic. I'm having the worst conversation. When in reality, everybody else, I'm getting emails and I'm getting messages. Oh, that message blessed me so much. Oh, it changed my world. It changed everything about me. I'll never be the same. I'm so glad you preached that. I'm so glad you said that. Whatever the thing is, right? But I spent a whole hour self-criticizing, and if you're not careful when you're doing that, you will talk yourself out of your progress, because you're telling yourself that you're not good enough. You'll talk yourself out of purpose. You'll talk yourself out of destiny. You'll talk yourself out of your healing. You'll talk yourself out of your business. You'll talk yourself out of your ministry. You'll talk yourself out of out of your next level. You'll talk yourself out of your raise, right? Because here's a lot of times what happens is this. We talk ourselves into the next level. Oh, I'm about to do this. I'm about to go all the way. And then we talk ourselves out. We talk ourselves in. Oh, here it is. This is my day. And then we find a way to talk ourselves out of it. And what we do is we find excuses that are valid excuses on one level, but they're really irrelevant in your destiny. Like they're irrelevant and you get into that next level. But yeah, they're valid excuses. Yeah, oh, I can't do it because I work 8 hours a day. I mean that, yes, you work 8 hours a day. That's true. But what you do is you talk yourself out of doing the next thing because you make that valid. You make it truth to you. And so you start believing your own story. And what happens is then we look for confirmation bias to confirm the conversation that we've been having within ourselves. Watch, I hope you're catching. Watch this. So what happens is we've been having this conversation within ourselves about how we can't do it. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. Oh, I got to take the kids here. Oh, I got to do that. I can't write the book. If I wrote a book, where am I going to get it published? Where am I going to get the money to do it? I might as well not write the book. Oh, I can't do the song. I can't do the business. I want to do the business, but I just can't do the business because if I do the business, then this is going to happen. And I'm just not going to have time to give my all to it. People are not going to show up and all this stuff. So you've already had that conversation internally. So when you get outside and you start hearing a conversation like that, it confirms what you've been saying within yourself. Come on, somebody. So now you've created a confirmation bias based on your internal conversation, and now you have found a way to validate quitting. Talk to me in here. Are y'all with me? You have found a way to validate quitting because of the internal conversation that you've had, because of the languaging that you're using, the language you're speaking to yourself. You found somebody else with that same language. And so the internal language that you've been speaking connects with the external language that they're speaking, and it gives you the validation to quit. Come on, somebody. It gives you the validation to quit. It gives you a reason not to pursue. It gives you a reason not to go after the thing that God has designed for you to go after. So this is why we're shifting from what we call Sunday lazy language. That's right. We're shifting from lazy language to quantum language or power language. We'll call it quantum language. Lazy language to quantum language. So therefore, what I'm going to begin to do now, I'm going to begin to speak a different language pattern to myself. So where I used to speak, that was the worst thing I've ever done. That was the worst message. That was the worst song. That was the worst singing. That was the worst business idea I ever had. Rather than using lazy language, I'm going to find another language pattern to use. So rather than saying that was the worst, even if it wasn't what I wanted, I'm not going to say it was the worst. It was terrible. I'll never do this again. I'm going to say I'm learning, or I learned a valuable lesson that has helped me grow to the next level. See how that changed? So watch, the language changes. The language changed from this was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I'm never going to do it again. That language changed to I learned a valuable lesson that brought me into amazing growth, and I'm about to go to the next level. The language pattern that changed now will produce a different result. So what am I doing? I'm creating a new internal conversation. I'm not self-criticizing or criticizing myself to the point that it's going to cause me to give up. I am now creating a language now that's causing me to continue to have expectation, to continue to expect something greater to happen on the next time. Oh, I hope y'all getting that. I'm creating a new language pattern that's helping me to now create an expectation of a greater result. Let me say that again. I'm creating a language pattern that's producing an expectation in me that will create a greater result, right? So you have to begin, you have to understand, how am I going to create? No, this is the question. What is the conversation or the language I'm speaking to myself? Now, remember this. Now, the woman, the Bible says that the woman has an issue of blood. She has an issue of blood for 12 long years. Now, consider this. She went to every doctor and spent all of her money. Every doctor spent all of her money. She's now broke and sick. I mean, she's in a bad place. She's broke and sick. Spent all her money, 12 years of dealing with this issue. Okay, she sees Jesus walking down the street in a crowd, and watch, the Bible says, and she said to herself, oh, wait a minute. Her internal language is shifting. Now, I don't know what she said for 12 years, but she might have said the doctors couldn't get it done. She might have said, I've been sick for a long time. This thing is taking me out. I'm broke. I'm sick. I'm doing terrible. I don't know what her language was, but in this moment, she said what? She changed her internal conversation. The Bible says she saw Jesus. She said within herself, if I can touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. Oh my goodness, that's quantum language right there. Oh my goodness. So she spoke from her present condition into the future of an expectation of something greater. Oh my goodness. She said in herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. So her language now it shifted from 12 years of sickness, 12 years of doctors, 12 years of trying everything she could try to get made whole, but she couldn't do it. And in one shift of her language, oh my goodness, this right here is so good. In one shift of her language, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. And she reached out and touched him and got his attention. The virtue came from Jesus, and he looked at her, and thy faith has made thee whole. So listen, 12 years of trying to get something to happen, it shifted what was taking 12 long years. In one day, it changed. Whew. Now, let me say it again. It's 12 years of being broke, 12 years of being sick, 12 years of being weak, 12 years of being tired, 12 years of being cast out of the city because of her condition, 12 years of being lonely, 12 years of being depressed, 12 years changed when her internal language changed. Woo! Did y'all hear me? I hope y'all hear. Now watch, 12 years. So 12 years, it changed in one day. And what I'm telling you is, the moment your internal language changes, and she said to herself, and she said within herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. 12 years change. 12-year desire, a 12-year trial. It shifted in one day because she said something within herself. This is what I'm telling you. If you can learn this quantum language and say within yourself, oh my goodness, once I get here, because this was the strategy. She said, if I can touch the hem of his garment, it was her strategy. If I can just get there, then this will happen. All I got to do, like, she made her life simple. Like, that's the whole thing I've been teaching too. She made her life simple. She said, all I need to do is get to Jesus. Once I get to him, then this will change. And he said to her, woman, thy faith has made thee whole, or go and be made whole. In other words, he says, go and be complete now. Why? Because the language within herself. I'm going back to my question. What are you saying within yourself. Whew. Now, this is the conversation nobody else knows. Like nobody else knows you're having this conversation. This ain't the conversation that's blasted on social media. Social media, most of the time, is your head language. It's not your heart language. Oh, good God. It's your head language, not your heart language. And so, most people don't know your heart language. What is your heart language? What are you saying within yourself? Because what you're saying within yourself could be keeping you stuck in a 12-year cycle. Woo! The language that you're using could be keeping you in a cycle. Are y'all with me? So maybe then you have to begin to speak a new language within yourself. That languaging, that language pattern, language construct can create something new within you. Oh, come on, somebody. Are y'all with me? Yes, life and death is held in the power of the tongue. Now, listen. But I want you to get this whole idea that the biggest conversation you got to have is the conversation with you. Now, here's what a friend of mine told me, and I'm going to tell y'all this because it was so good. A friend of mine told me this, and you need to hear this, that here's the reality. And I'm going to take it to this level. I'm going to say this. The biggest war, if we want to use the word warfare, the warfare that you are fighting right now is the warfare of the higher version of you and the lower version of you. That they're in constant battle right now. And the lower version of you has a lower version language. And the higher version of you has a higher language version. So this is the war. This is the warfare. Because your lower version of you, this is what he said, the lower version of you is always trying to pull you down and to make you stay the same. The higher version of you is always saying, come up here, come on, let's go. Let's get uncomfortable. Let's break these habits. Let's have a breakthrough. Let's start this business. Let's launch this nonprofit. Let's do it. That's what the higher version of you is always saying. But the lower version of you is always saying, but you didn't graduate, or you don't have enough money in the bank, or you don't have enough connections, or you don't have. That's the language of the lower version. There is a language of the lower version, and there's a language of the higher version. And so who are you going to listen to? Right? So you at some point you have to tell the lower version of you, I don't speak that language anymore. Woo! Oh, my goodness, I felt that right there. I felt that for about 20 people that's gonna watch this. Some of y'all just watching this already. I felt that for you. That you got to tell the lower version of you, I don't speak that language anymore. I don't understand that language anymore. I used to speak that language, but I don't speak that language anymore. I only speak language from a higher version of who I am. I don't speak that low language, that defeated language, that doubtful language, that fearful language. I don't speak that language anymore. I have now taken on a new tongue. Oh God, I ain't got time. I've taken on a new tongue. He said, when you become a believer, there's a new tongue or a new language that you talk. There's a new utterance that you have. There's a new construct of language or construct of words that you have. And it is not from this lower version of you, the old self. There is a new version of you. If it is that you are born again, hear me. If it is that you are born again, then that means you should be born with a new language. And I'm not just talking about speaking in tongues. That's a heavenly language. We could get into that another day. I'm just talking about a new internal language. You should have a new language if you've been born again. Born again, your mindset is shifting. You're converting into something new. You become a new creation. A new creation should have a new tongue, a new language. You are one new being. You're something different. So there should be a different language pattern that you have. If we're still talking at a low language pattern, in a low language, low conversation, then we got to renew this mind and renew our heart. Let our heart be renewed so that we can speak from the higher version, from the higher language. There is a higher language. I need somebody to type that in the comments. Type that in the comments. There's a higher language. Type that in the comments. Let me see it in the comments. Type in there that there is a higher language. Let me see it. I'm going to see some people type that. There's a higher language. Type it in there. There's a higher language. Come on, come on, come on. I need to see that in there. I need to see that in the comments before I move any further. There's a higher language. There's a higher language. Listen, I need to see that in the comments. There's a higher language that God wants you to speak. There's a higher language that God wants you to have that's going to accelerate your life. Yeah, I see it. There we go. There's a higher language. Yes. Come on, put that in the comments. There's a higher language. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I see y'all in these comments now. There's a higher language. This is very important. There's a higher language that you must begin to speak. You have to begin to speak. Anytime you see Jesus in the earth, he spoke a higher language. When there was a storm, he said, peace be still. That was a higher language. When he goes to Lazarus' tomb, he says, Lazarus, come forth. He had been dead for 4 days. Jesus says, Lazarus, come forth. That was a higher language. When he goes to the young lady, he says, Talite kume. That means come forth. That was a higher language. Jesus had a higher language. When they said, well, Jesus, they said, Jesus, we only have 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. What are we going to do with this? Jesus said, well, give it to me. And he began to speak a higher language. He broke it. He blessed it. That's higher language. He broke it. Then he distributed it to the disciples and said, pass this out to the people. That was a higher language. Are you with it? That was a higher language pattern. So therefore, if Jesus was giving us the example that we can speak from a higher language, if we get the languaging right, there is nothing that is impossible for those who have the right language, that speak from a higher language. Are y'all with me? You got to be able to speak from a higher language so that you can get higher results. Let me say that one more time. You got to speak from a higher language so that you can get higher results. Let me say this. Speak from a higher language so that you can have a higher expectation. Let me say that one again. Speak from a higher language so that you can have a higher expectation. Now, let me show you something. That as I was reading the scriptures today, and it just hit me. And I'm going to show you this you've heard the story. You know the story. If you've read the Bible, if you're in church, you've heard the story. If not, it's a great story. You got to hear it. The principles are powerful here. Genesis chapter 11. You know this, but I'm going to show you something out of it that's really unique and really neat. Genesis chapter 11, verse number 1. This is the story of the Tower of Babel. Now, I want you to see something that's very unique, and we're going to flip this as a principle to understand. So, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. Now, the whole earth was what? The whole earth was one language and one speech. So it's interesting that right here from the beginning, it makes it known and emphasizes the power of language. The whole earth was of one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, go to, let us make brick, burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime, and slime for the mortar. And they said, go, watch this, let us build us a tower, a city and a tower. So they wanted to build a city and a tower whose top may reach to heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So now they're using a principle that's powerful, but they were using it for the wrong purpose. They were using the principle to make their name great, to build their fame, to build their city. They had their own agenda. But watch this. And the Lord, verse number 6, the Lord said, behold, the people are one, and they all have one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing. Watch this. Watch what I'm telling you here. He says they had one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Now he says that they have one language. We're about to pull a principle out. Watch. They have one language. And he said, and as long as they're speaking this language, whatever they imagine to do, they will do. He says they will do whatever they imagine to do. Did you hear what I just said? As long as they're speaking this language, whatever they do, what they're going to do, whatever they imagine to do. In other words, whatever they can imagine, it's going to happen. They want a city, they're building a city. They want a tower, they're building a tower. Why? Because of the language that they're speaking. Oh my goodness. It is the language that gave them the ability to build at the level they needed to build. Like this can change like your whole organization. It can change your whole family unit. It can change like everything, your sports team. I don't care. Whatever you do, this can change everything. To understand that if the languaging is right, there is nothing that you can't do. Oh my goodness. If this is called quantum language, y'all. If the languaging is correct, if there's a certain type of language, whatever you imagine, you will do. If there's that's why when we go back to Mark, the book of Mark, when Jesus said, if you say unto this mountain, be thou removed and cast into the sea. Remember we talked about dealing with the mountain of doubt, getting it out and casting it into the sea. If you say to this mountain, be thou removed, cast into the sea, whatever you ask in prayer, it shall be done. Why? Because now the language is proper. So going back to Genesis 11, let me go back to it. He says, glory to God. He says that, let me go back. He says, and the Lord came down. He says, behold, okay, this is right here, verse number 6. And behold, the Lord said, the people are one, and they have one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them. That's the part I want you to hear. Nothing will be restrained from them because of the language they're speaking. I'm pulling a principle. Watch. Okay. And so verse number 7. So go to, let us go down and there confound their language that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence, from all the face of the earth, and left off to build the city. Now, I'm going to stop right there because I want to pull this principle. Here's the principle that oftentimes the issue is that our language is confound within us, that we could, like nothing would be restrained from us. The problem is the language within us is confound. Confound means confused. There's a confused language within us. So my desire is speaking one thing, my heart is speaking one thing, my action is speaking one thing, and so my heart is scattered over here, my mindset is scattered over here, my action is scattered over here, my desire is scattered over here, and it's all speaking a different language. Oh my goodness, this right here is crazy. It's speaking a different language. So therefore, because within me there's a scattering, I'm scattered abroad within me, I cannot build what I imagine to build because everything in me is scattered. Now, this is not God's plan. This is not God's idea. This is not God's mission for you. But Genesis 11 gives us a principle that what has to happen is that within me, my heart, my soul, my belief, my action, my desire has to begin to speak the same language. Whew, my goodness. Because when all of who I am begin to speak the same language, nothing can be restrained from me. Whatever I imagine, it shall come to pass. Why? Because because my heart, my soul, my mind, my body, we all speak in the same language. And what is that language? It's a quantum language. It is a language because the people said, like right there, the people said that, listen, let us come together, let us get the bricks, let us get the stuff, and let us build a city and build a tower. And God himself said that if they continue to speak the same language, then they're going to build whatever they want. Wow. Did y'all hear what I said? I need some people in these comments. I need to know that you are here in these comments. Somebody get in the comments, say something, put some fire emojis, put some hand waving, hand clapping, fist bumps. I don't know, put some, flexing, put something in the comments. I need to know that you're hearing what I'm saying. I need to know that you're getting this principle. I'm pulling principle out. I need to know that you're getting this principle. That if your languaging gets right, if your languaging gets at the level that it needs to get to, there is nothing. I mean absolutely nothing that will be restrained from you. That whatever you imagine, it will come to pass. Whatever you imagine, it will happen. Whatever you imagine, like, did y'all see that in Genesis chapter 11? He says that these people, they're trying to build something. They're about to blow something up. Now, they're about to build something. They're about to build a whole city and a whole tower that's about to hit heaven if they keep speaking this language. So let me babble. That's what babble means, to be confused language. To babble is confused language. Let me confuse their language. So here it is. Okay, listen. Maybe, I'm just saying maybe, just maybe some of you watching you've been babbling about your dream. You've been babbling about your goal. You've been babbling about your purpose. You've been babbling about your destiny. But and that's all you've been doing is babbling, and it's been confused language. 1 minute, I can make it. 1 minute, you're saying, oh, this is my season. This is my year. The next minute, you're saying, I think I want to give up. I think I'm done. I think I'm throwing in the towel. That's babble. It's confused language. That's two different parts of you talking. Oh, my goodness. Are y'all here? That's the scattering abroad talking. And so nothing can be built. Nothing can be accomplished. Because, this is my year. My income is going to increase this year. Oh, but then tomorrow it's like, I'm just so tired of being broke. I'm just so broke, and I just hate being broke, and I'm broke as I can be. I'm just broke. That's the babble. That's what that is. That's babble. That's confused language. Are you with me? That's the same thing that's happening. You're confusing language. You're scattered abroad. Are y'all with me? So the city can't be built. The thing that God has put in you can't be built. See, at Babel, that wasn't God's will for them to build. But here's what I'm telling you: God's will is for you to build something. God's will is for you to accomplish something. God's will is for you to create something. That's God's will for you. So God's will is not that your language is Babel. God's will is that your language is one language. Oh my goodness. See, this is supposed to work for the believer. Your language is one language. That's God's will. Your language is a language of power. It's a language of, it's a higher language. You can't be back and forth. Y'all hear what I'm saying? You can't be back and forth. When those negative words and that negative language tries to come, you need to tell your lower self. I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. You need to tell your lower self, I don't speak that language anymore. I only have one language. And my one language is, I can make it. My one language is, I will win. My one language is, I will succeed. My one language is, I will build. My one language is, this will work. I only have one language. That's it. One language. My friend Neo says, it's gotta work or it's gotta work. That's all. It's one language. It might work. I don't know. I'm going to try to make it work. We'll see if it works. I don't know. We'll see what happens. No, it's gotta work or it's gotta work. I got one language. Because that one language is what's going to produce for your life. Oh, I love this stuff right here. This is so good. That one language is what's going to produce, not the multiple languages that you talk in, not all this other stuff that you talk with. That one language. And even when people come to you and people try to tell you something, and they try to whisper something in your ear, I don't even understand what you're saying. I don't speak that language. I don't even speak that language. I remember, I think it was yesterday, I got a call from an unknown caller, a spam call. And normally, I don't answer spam calls, but there are days that I just be in a mood, and I say, I'm just going to see who this is. I'm just going to answer it. And when I answer the call, they immediately start speaking Spanish. I don't know Spanish at all. I mean, like maybe like 2 or 3 words. I can count a little bit. But she just starts boom, 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 just going. And I said, listen, you got the wrong person because this is the wrong language. I don't speak that language. No habla español. I can say that. I said, I don't speak this language. And she hung up the phone. And what I realized is this, that when people come to you, or when you come to you, let me say that again. When people come to you, or when you come to you with a conversation from a place that you are no longer familiar with, all you got to do is say, I'm sorry, I no longer speak that language. And the connection will be lost. There will be a disconnection from that person. There'll be a disconnection from that conversation because you don't speak the language anymore. There are some conversations that you have been having that you need to go back. You need to say, listen, I do not speak that language anymore. I can only speak the language of power, the language of glory, the language of heaven, the language of progress. That's the only language I can speak. It's going to work. It's got to work, or it's got to work. That's the only language I got. I'm launching this thing. I don't have a what if it doesn't work. I don't have a what if people don't come. I don't have that. That's not my language. I don't speak that language. The only language I speak is, this thing is working for me. This thing is going to shift something in my life. That's the only language I have. What if you don't make the money? You say, I'm going to make the money that I said I'm going to make, because I don't have another language. I don't have another language pattern. I'm not babbling. I'm not confused in my speech. I'm not confused in what I'm saying. I am 100. I got one language, and I'm going to speak that language until I see the thing come to pass. I'm going to speak that language until I see the thing in my hand. I'm going to speak that language until I build the thing that I'm designed to build. I'm going to speak that language until the world knows that this language has created an expectation in me, and my expectation has brought me into something greater. That's what I'm going to do. So that, I'm telling y'all, that is quantum. Oh my goodness. That is quantum language. That's what it means to speak quantum language. Your quantum language is about becoming one language within yourself. I don't have multiple languages. I don't have multiple things I say. I don't have multiple speech. I got one thing within me that I say, and that one thing is producing and shifting and is pointing in one direction. Jesus didn't speak a whole lot of stuff. Jesus said one thing: the kingdom of heaven is coming. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom. He constantly talked about the kingdom of heaven. Constantly talked about the kingdom of heaven. Jesus never, like, you think about this. Jesus says, I'm done right here. Jesus says, I'm going to die, and in 3 days I'll get back up. There's never a point when Jesus said, I'm going to die, and I sure hope this thing works. Like, you think about that. Jesus never said, I'm about to go to the cross, and I'm going to go to the grave, and boy, y'all in trouble if this don't work, but we're going to try it. We're going to try it. We're going to see what happened here. Y'all better hope something happened in that grave. No, Jesus was absolutely confident. One language. I'm going to the grave. I'll be there for 3 days. I'll get back up on the third day, and it's all going to be good from there. One language. You got to get to the place that you learn that within yourself, there is one language that you speak. Even, I'm done, when Jesus was in the garden and he said, could this cup be passed from me? And then he comes back and says, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. That was the one language. That was the one language that he knew. He knew, he was clear. He knew where he was going. He knew his destination, and he knew how this thing was going to end up. He knew that. So that's why he could speak that language. And that's what we have to do. That's the quantum language principle. That's the quantum language concept. And we got to get there to where we can live this life that we're designed to live, and we can have whatever we imagine with no restraint. Oh, I love that right there. Oh, before I go, I need some people to declare that no restraint. Because you're going to have what you have, and nothing's going to be able to restrain you. I need you to put no restraint in the comments. Somebody put that in the comments right now. I need to see it before we go. Before we leave tonight, I need you to put no restraint in the comments. I need to see it. Let me see. Before we go tonight, no restraint in the comments. I want you to declare it to the world. Declare it to the world, no restraint. Why? Because your language is getting right. You're getting those language patterns right. There you go. Oh, yeah. Kelly put it in there. No restraint. I'm putting y'all on the screen this time. No restraint. Come on. Y'all put in. Oh, yeah. Linda put it in there. No restraint. No restraint. Come on. No restraint. No restraint. I need some more people. Come on. Put it on there. No restraint. Come on. No restraint. No restraint. Let me see it in the comments. No restraint. No restraint. Because nothing's going to hold you back. Your language pattern is going to be proper. Your language pattern is going to be correct. Your language patterns, they're coming into oneness. Your mind, body, soul, your actions, your mindset, everything's coming into oneness, and there is no restraint. Can I get a few? There we go. Oh, yeah, Cora said no restraint. Come on. Nothing's going to be able to restrain you. Did y'all hear it? Come on, no restraint. Ruby said no restraints. Come on. Come on. Come on. No restraints. This is good. No restraints. Nothing is going to hold you back. No restraints. Listen, our time is up for the Abundance Factor, but I want to say thank you so much for joining the Abundance Factor. Listen, there's a quick announcement I want to. Me and my wife, we made this commitment that we're going to help as many people we can get out of a place that we found ourselves in several years ago. And we're going to help people with a multiple six-figure mindset challenge. We're doing a webinar, free webinar Friday, free webinar Thursday. I'm sorry, free webinar Thursday at 8 o'clock. It's going to be our second one. We did one that was off the charts. We had so many people on that were with us that were excited. It was game changer. We're doing another one this Thursday at 8 o'clock, multiplesixfiguremindset.com. You see that link right there. You got to put it in there just like that. We're gonna put it out as well. We'll put it in the page, Facebook page as well, and also in the comments. But that right there, we are dropping game that can change your 2023. And I'm telling you, we want you to be a part of that. Go register for the webinar this Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. We're going to jump on and we're just going to drop as much gems and knowledge and game and all that stuff that we possibly can. We're doing it together because we found out that when we do these types of things together, it's like double power. It's like double anointing. It's like, I don't know, it's like double something, right? It's like double fire, right? And so we want you to go ahead and register this Thursday at 8 o'clock. We'll be doing it. Let me we'll put the site back up there again. You can go there and register for that webinar. Maybe you went to the last one and you want to come back again to get the information again so you can get it downloaded. We want you to come in and be a part of that multiplesixfiguremindset.com webinar. Our goal is going to be really the whole year, helping people just smash your income goals. I'm talking about annihilate your income goals so you can get to the place that you know that you're designed to be. You can go next in your money. So we're excited about it. We're pumped about it. Can't wait to see you on the webinar. And we will see you later. But remember this, that your best days are not behind you. And your best days are not even in front of you. Your best days are inside of you. So listen, Abundance Factor family, it's time for you to go unlock the best days of your life. Join that webinar, and we will see you later.